Hi, I'm Shari, Elle. In the last video I was sharing with you about emotional safety and why it is so important that we need to meet our need for emotional safety before we're actually able to go to the deeper needs within us in a certain situation. The more that we build our trust that we will meet these needs for emotional safety by actually taking action. For example, asking a person, would you mind, I'm noticing I'm feeling anxious, would you be willing to help me by speaking in a whisper so that I can stay connected with you in the way that I'd like? Okay, that's meeting my need for emotional safety. The more that I do that, the more trust that I have within myself that actually I can show up without being protected in that way, because I know I can lean into this if I need to. So then it might look like meeting my need for these deeper needs for connection or belonging might look somewhat different. So for example, then it might be actually having the conversation around, when you come home after going to the pub with the guys or with the girls, I notice I feel really scared, and I'm wanting to show up in a different way with you than by withdrawing like I have been to meet my need for emotional safety. I'm wondering if I can talk to you about what it's actually like for me and what it reminds me of when that happens. So now we're in vulnerability. And this was vulnerability too. That was the most vulnerability that I could come to in that moment. But now I'm at a deeper level of vulnerability. Now I might want to share with you what it was like when my dad used to come home after he'd been drinking. And then what it was like for me to sit with my brothers and sisters in the room and just be internally saying prayers that my mum would be okay. Or maybe it's not that full on for you, but maybe it's something else. Maybe it reminds you of when, your mum just didn't pay attention to you because she was so busy working. And so you're so desperate to be seen or to be known. Whatever it was, but to share that I get triggered in this place. I actually get triggered and scared, and I know it's not necessarily because of something that you're doing, but I really would love your help in helping me and in understanding and what goes on in me when these things happen. These are the moments that we can reach toward each other. But if we're with someone who really doesn't care about our emotional well-being, this is where we need to be, caring for our own emotional well-being, not having the conversations necessarily underneath. So that can look in a whole lot of different ways, but for me, how that looked at the last Embodying NVC retreat was to realize that I still had a wall up. I looked around at everyone that I was there with, and I realized that there was still a part of me that was trying to hold, that had a wall up around my heart, that was not just open and receiving. And it was around my still sometimes discomfort around actually receiving from people, that there's still a shyness that I receive when people are just loving me, and that I find myself sometimes still putting up a barrier to my heart. And so I was able to share that with the group, and it was so beautiful to just share honestly that goes on for me, and to more deeply recognize those moments that comes up. So there wasn't necessarily something to do with it, although there might be. It might be for me to talk to this part and to just get present to what is it that it's afraid of. or it might be just simply sharing it. So I invite you to these deeper and deeper levels of vulnerability that are all connected with our needs.